Hi everyone, I hope everyone had a nice week. Today is the 14th week of our lesson. This is the last lesson, sadly. We learned a lot of things, a lot of different functions, different parts of coding, but most important thing you have to remember is that coding is not just about computer, it's not about just like writing programs, but it can be used every day in our lives in different subjects in different places because it's all about logical thinking. So I really hope and I urge you to always to think and think logically whenever you approach a problem so you can solve them in a very effective way. Okay? So today, and as our last topic, we'll review a loop and we're going to talk about nested loops. We're going to do some exercises and then our last activity in MakeIt. So loops review. So we talked about we said there are three types of loops. One is counting, one is conditional. And counting loops usually is referred to as, or we usually call them as for loop. I forgot to mention the last time, for, like the word for, for. And conditional loop is usually referred as while loop, like while something's happening. So it makes sense because why? When we say for, we for how many times you repeat such thing. And while some condition is true, repeat something, okay? So remember that, okay? Counting loops, for loop. Conditional loops, we call this while loop. Now, infinite loop is very dangerous because if computer goes into infinite loop, that means it's been, it can't do anything else. It's like just looping infinitely. So if you've been using PC, you might have encountered something called the blue screen of death. And usually this is what's happening. Something is in the loop and it's not working correctly. But anyway, the main idea of all this loops is that a loop repeats a pattern. So two important things when you're dealing with loops. Number one, you have to be able to know what pattern is being repeated. And number two is what condition, like do we know the parameter, do we know the constraint for how many times or what condition this pattern has to repeat, okay? So anyway, what is nested loops? Nested loop is just loop within a loop, okay? So when you're looping through something, within inside, there's looping, another looping, okay? Now this nested loop does not have to be one level. It doesn't have to be two level. It can be multiple levels, but it can get really dangerous if you go more and more in depth, okay? Now, so you can think of nested loops as pattern of patterns, okay? Because it will loop within a loop. And believe it or not, you can encounter a lot of things in nested loops in our lives. For example, cleaning, eating, and different things. So for now, just think about what might be nested loops that we see everyday lives. And when you're done thinking, let's go to our example, cleaning. So for example, let's say we're cleaning your house, okay? Let's say there's 5 different rooms. Doesn't have to be rooms, it can be places like living room, kitchen, bathroom, whatever, okay? Doesn't really matter. And your job is to vacuum them, okay? So how might we make block code that accomplish this task? So the first thing is you need to go to a room, right? A new room, and you want to vacuum the place. And once you're done vacuuming, you want to get out and you repeat this for 5 different places, right? So first, this vacuum process has to be done not just one time, but it has to be repeated, right? But you don't really know how many times you have to vacuum. So we can make a loop here, not counting loop, maybe conditional loop, like while the room is not clean, meaning repeat or process this action when the room is not clean. Because if the room is clean, why vacuum, right? So this will repeat until the room is clean. And when the room is cleaned, this will get out of the loop and go to other room. Now, once you go to the other room, right, or get out of the room, you need to enter a new room, right? So this is why you need another loop here. And this is for loop or counting loop because why? You exactly know how many times you repeat this. You want to repeat this 5 times. Now, of course, this is an example, okay? It doesn't really have to be this series of actions. It can be different, okay? But just know that this is one possible way we can block code our vacuuming, right? This loop is called outer loop because why? It's outside. It's like encapsulating what's in. And the inner loop is called inner loop, duh. And that is called nested loop. So when we say nested, it means it's embedded inside of something. Okay. Now remember, there can be multiple nested loops. Now, next, exercise number 1. So let's say there are 6 broccolis on a plate, as you can see here. And your job is to write a block code that will allow you to eat 6 broccolis while chewing each one at least 5 times. Now, here's the given actions. There are 4 actions here: picking up, chewing, eating, swallowing, and there's this repeating function. So pause the video and come back once you're done. Welcome back. So maybe, hopefully, you did something like this. Like you need to pick up the broccoli, right? And you have to eat it, right? And after you're eating it, you have to chew, right? You have to chew, and then you swallow, right? So the chewing happens multiple times. We've seen this like last time, right? So for this example, I said we want to chew at least 5 times. So we need to think about that. And then we need to repeat this whole process. How many times? 6 times is what? There is 6 broccolis, right? So in this case, we say repeat this chewing process 5 times, right? After 5 times is gone, you swallow, right? And after swallowing, you have to pick up another broccoli and repeat this how many times? 6 times. Now, is this the best way to describe this? I don't think so, because why? Do we really have to chew 5 times exactly? No. So better way might be changing this for loop into a while loop or conditional loop, so that we can say if the food is not broken down, right, you chew. But it's broken down enough, then what do? We swallow. Now, what about broccoli? Do we really have to eat everything? What if you're full? So you can say, while you're not full, you eat, right? So when we're doing loops, you have to think about not only the actions or patterns, you have to think about what constraint, what conditions do we put on the repeat so that it does what we really want to do. Which one optimizes the process, okay? Moving on, exercise 2, you're playing a game where you draw 4 random cards out of a standard deck of cards. Whenever you draw a face card of Jack, Queen, King, or Queen, right, King, you must do 10 push-ups. Now, this is a silly game, yes, but the purpose is to write out a block code. So pause the video and think about how we might do this. Welcome back. Solution. So this is one of the solutions we can do. So we can draw a card, and we have, I guess we have a if statement. If the card is face card, you push up 10 times. But if the card is not face card, do we process this action? No, we don't. We just skip and then repeat this process how many times? 4 times. Okay. Now this is a silly example, yes, but it contains things that we have learned. So I thought it was a good exercise. And now let's talk about makeup activity. This is the last activity we'll be doing, and it's about anti-theft system you were supposed to make from last week's homework. And I modified it a little bit so that it's more fun, okay? So this is the anti-theft system, but I modified it a little bit. So I'll tell you what each one is doing, okay? So obviously this is an ultrasonic device where it sends out a signal or sound signal, and the sound signal comes back after reflected off by an object, and it receives the data, and then it calculates how far something is, okay? So if something gets near, what it does is it will not blink, but it will light up the red LED light along with this buzzer. It will make a sound so that it alarms that something is going on, okay? Now, what modification I made is I added button. This is like panic button. So even though this may not be, maybe it's not activated, you might press on it so that you let some people know that, hey, you're in trouble, okay? And also, eventually what I want to do is, depending on how far something is, I want to change the frequency of this buzzer, okay? That's what we'll be doing. And let's get back to our app, okay? Okay, let's open up our app and let's go to project. And under project, remember I asked you to do anti-theft system. And Basically, I copied this exactly and I added different LED lights. And it doesn't really matter which number you put into, but you should be able to do it. And also I added switch. And if you don't remember how to do switch, watch previous videos where I showed you how to add switches, okay? And that's the only modification in terms of hardware, okay? Now coding wise, beginning, what we're gonna do is we will just run through this block code, okay? So if you watch this block code, right? So what it does is this, it says, hey, get the distance from ultrasonic sensor. If it's greater than the 15 centimeters, turn on the LED light number 9, which is red, and the brightness is 0. So basically turn off, okay? And then look at this one. The buzzer is 0. The volume is 0. Oh, I guess we don't have power to change the frequency. Huh, interesting. I thought we could. All right, so anyway, here, the second one is if this is less than 15, what do? We turn on the light and turn on the buzzer with 100 volume value, okay? Now I'm gonna run this, okay? I'm gonna run this since I'm on my Mac computer. I have to do something different, but I'm gonna run it and I'm gonna show you. Oh, you already see, okay, you already can hear it. Okay, now watch. So maybe it's a small video. I mean, it's small, but bear with me. So imagine my hand. Okay, imagine my hand. It's getting near. This is I'm a thief. Okay, if I get near, do you hear it? You see the light, and you hear the sound, right? Near, away, near, away. So that's the basic one. But now what we're gonna do is this: we're gonna modify this so that if it gets closer, even though we may not be able to change the frequency, we'll make this louder, okay? As you go closer, it gets louder. So think about how might we change this. All right, I am done modifying my anti-theft system. Now, this is really long, so I'm not gonna go through everything. But if you want to, feel free to slowly look through this code and think about what might be happening. But I'll tell you verbally what's happening and highlight some of the key points, okay? So there are a few features. I'll show you my, I'll show you in detail. Give me 1 second. All right, so it's the same device, right? So number one, you see that its green light is on because there's no object near 15 centimeters. But notice what happens, okay? Notice my hand. When something gets near, the orange light will turn on, and the alarm is on. It also gets near, the sound is louder, and now it blinks. If it's closer, the red light and the alarm is supposed to go even higher, but it doesn't really do that, okay? But volume should be even higher. So there's a panic button. If you press on it, what's gonna happen is this. One more time. Yeah. So there we go. This is the anti-theft system. So the point of this is, hey, you can make a lot of different things depending on what you want, because you already know how to use the ultrasonic sound, button, LED lights, and the buzzer. We have done that together. And if I were to, oops. Yeah, so hopefully you had fun doing this. I'll post a picture of my code for this project, just in case you want to see them. And it's been really nice. Next week we have final exam. Don't worry, it's going to be very short and it's going to be very easy. Yeah, happy coding, and everyone, bye bye.